Good evening, everyone. Wave Meteorologist Jessica Dobson here with a check of your forecast. And I know we've had so many questions about today's forecast and even tomorrow's too. So we're going to try to go through all of those questions for you guys. And if you have any, feel free to leave a comment with even with just what you've seen so far in terms of today's forecast. But if you have a question specifically, you can ask that in the comments and I'll try to get around to that by the time this broadcast is over with. So we're going to be talking about a couple of things. We're watching some showers and storms from our north and west. We've had a couple of tornado warnings well outside of our area, closer to central Indiana. And we're also going to be watching for, we do have two of our counties, Jackson and Jennings, you are under a tornado watch. So we'll talk a little bit about why that is and how the forecast is panning out for tonight, because we were waiting to get a little bit more data in. And also we should be getting a few more folks from the app here soon too, but I'll go ahead and bring you outside now, kind of talk about how today has been so far. Check it out. Beautiful sunset tonight. And I'll actually show you I guess it would help if I showed you guys. There we go. But this is a live look outside from our downtown Louisville SkyTrack camera, and a really beautiful day we've seen so far. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been hot, but it's been very quintessential summer today. And I'll show you another view. This is from our tower camera. On top of the station, you can actually see some of those towering cumulus clouds from some distant storms. So love seeing that. That's one of my favorite things to see, are the towering clouds from the distant storms. So really beautiful is what it's all distant. This is what we're seeing so far. Actually, we have some spammers, so let me block them so you guys don't get spammed. Okay, great. So we did make it in terms of high temperatures. Sorry, guys, I just want to make sure I delete that comment. Temperatures today did make it into the mid and upper 80s for our highs. 87, it was actually a degree or two shy of what we usually see for this time of year. And we're going to be expecting warm temperatures again tomorrow, probably a little bit hotter, but we did make it up to 87 degrees today. So far, our low was 73. Pretty typical of this time of year. Okay, so we have a tornado watch in place, and I think this might have caught some people by surprise. But how this all works in terms of especially watches. So our viewing area, our counties, our 30 counties that we serve, they're actually split up. I guess it'll help if I throw my name up there too. They're actually split up. So a couple of our counties are included in the Indianapolis National Weather Service's area, so their coverage area. So when it comes to the National Weather Service offices, they don't directly match our viewing areas necessarily. So we have a couple of counties. I think it's just one, that's Carroll County, I want to say, that's in the Cincinnati, the Wilmington office, which is near Cincinnati. Technically, the Cincinnati office is how I remember it in my brain. But so that's why just Jackson and Jennings counties have been included. That's one of the reasons why, at least. But really across central Indiana, that's where we've had the best chances of seeing some of these rotating thunderstorms. And that's where the best environment has been. And really, the storms, I don't want to jinx us at all. They haven't really done a whole lot, at least in terms of how they formed from the areas closer to us. And I'll show you radar, so it makes a little more sense what I'm saying. So here is a look right now at radar. We are nice, quiet, and dry, but you'll notice to our west, just now getting close to like the Evansville area. I feel like that's always one of the vantage points we use when we're trying to dictate how showers and storms, where they're at, how far away they are from us. And I feel like Evansville is usually one of those vantage points we use. And again, if you're just now tuning in, you can feel free to leave a comment if you're watching from Facebook, that is, or YouTube. I don't think we can leave comments from Twitter or the app, but still, I'll do my best to cover all the bases for everyone so you guys have an idea of what to expect for the rest of tonight. So this morning, we did have an alert day because we fit the criteria. We had the majority of our area was under a level 2 of 5 risk for seeing some of these strong storms. I took us out because the forecast, the Storm Prediction Center, for one, SPC, they shifted it a bit further to the north. The better ingredients were to the north. The forecast has been really uncertain here over the last, 24 hours or so, even just today, trying to nail down the exact timeline of how these storms are going to evolve and if they are at all. So obviously a couple of them have started to form. If they're going to make it here either before or after sunset, what type of ingredients are we going to have? And that will impact tomorrow's storm chances too. So these are all things that huge questions and factors that go into making the forecast. So just kind of have to take things with a grain of salt sometimes. And it can be difficult to communicate this kind of stuff too. So, and we only have a certain amount of time to do it when we're on TV. So that's why it's a little bit easier to do it over this kind of platform. So we have more time to talk about the more complicated things, I guess you could say. So what we've been really looking at are these storms. There are no, trying to be grammatically proper, I guess. There are no warnings in place right now for any counties in Indiana. And let me just double check further to our west, and no counties either near southern Illinois, western Kentucky, even through parts of Cape Girardeau and Missouri, technically. Not seeing any sort of warnings there either. These are just some strong storms, and that's kind of what we've been anticipating. But how they're going to evolve over the next couple of hours is kind of like the million-dollar question, right? And I feel like we always say that, but this is kind of always a situation we get ourselves in our area of the country. It's one of the reasons why we are forecasting. I feel like it's especially true, though, for the summer. So this is why the forecast can be a bit complicated. And you'll see the red box you see, the light red shade you see, that's where we have that tornado watch in place. That's until 1 a.m. And that only includes 2 of our counties, Jackson and Jennings counties. And that's not that you guys are the only ones who would see the threat of any sort of rotating thunderstorms or, a low risk of a tornado or 2. That is still possible for, I would say, areas in southern Indiana, a couple of our counties, but it's just not a very high threat just in general. The closer to Indianapolis you get, the higher the risk is. But all in all, even since yesterday, we've been talking about it. It's been very touch and go with tonight, and if the storms are going to evolve, and just how the data has been kind of really flip-flopping back and forth, trying to get a handle on what's going to be happening and how it's going to be happening, of course. And that's what we use as guidance for our forecast. So when we don't have that, it can make it a little bit more tough and difficult to analyze the situation and tell you guys what's going to happen, while also making sure everyone stays safe. So I hope that makes sense. I think I'm rambling now, but so what we have right now, some of these storms don't even have lightning yet. However, they have developed over the last couple of radar scans. So looks like I-69 is kind of the threshold, and that's where we have a boundary in place for seeing a couple of these storms that will continue to work their way further to the south and east. So that's what we're going to be watching over the course of the next couple of hours. What these guys are going to be doing, and you can really see it when we take a wider view. Oh, it looks like they do have one warning right now. It looks like they just issued it to the east of Paducah. And that's just a severe thunderstorm warning. And I don't think, as of right now, it doesn't look likely that this part of the thunderstorm necessarily will make it here. It's been very touch and go, and I'll show you why that is here in a moment with some of the models. But we could see maybe this arc, that kind of arcing of the front edge of the thunderstorm. That is what could arrive. Some of the models that we've been looking at were hinting at this maybe trying to go in this direction. But even if it does, this is not severe at this point. We have had some sunshine today, which did help to bring us a little bit of that storm fuel, help to destabilize us, but the clouds return pretty quickly. So this is not a slam dunk forecast. Just because they make it here doesn't mean they'll be severe, but regardless of any storms that do make it here, there will be plenty of lightning. If just something to keep in mind, it'll be pretty loud. So if you wake up tonight, just have the wave weather app handy. It will go off if there is a warning in your area. There's a free radar to use. There's so many great tools to have to help you kind of make sure you're staying safe and making sure you're feeling safe too. I'm hoping these are going to be out of here by midnight or 1 a.m. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because that means I'll get to go to bed too and have to be back here tomorrow morning. And then we have an alert day for tomorrow. So want to make sure we're all getting some sleep, right? So yeah, anyway, that is what we're kind of looking at in terms of these showers and storms for tonight. And the reason why I'm kind of honing in on these is because they're going to play a factor in tomorrow's forecast. Because if we see strong storms tonight, that can really limit our potential for tomorrow night in a way. So it will affect it regardless. But this is how the rest of tonight's panning. I get so distracted and sidetracked. But this is how the rest of tonight's panning out. Temperatures will quickly dip down into the 70s, only falling to right around 73 degrees for our low in Louisville, maybe closer to the upper 60s for outside areas. But you'll see that storm chances really begin to peak probably close to midnight, taper off after. So once this cluster, this line, this fading line moves in and out, we should be in good shape. I really think by like 2 or 3 in the morning, the severe threat should be long past. I mean, the tornado watch is only in place until 1 a.m. And I even think for the counties it's in place for, Jackson and Jennings, I think there's a real chance it could get canceled early. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll get canceled maybe a little bit early, and that would mean a little bit of a quieter night. So, okay, here's one of the weather models we look at. So Futurecast, this is just one weather model in particular. So this is showing us what the radar could potentially look like by about 10 o'clock this evening, 10 o'clock tonight. So within the next hour or so. And I think it's overdoing it a hair, but it does show kind of these clusters and this broken line trying to move through, even through roughly, that's about 12:30 in the morning. It's not very impressive though. And this model in particular, I think it's got a little bit better of a handle on things. It was all over the place earlier, so maybe it's trying to get its act together now. And again, you don't want to take these, you just want to watch the trends overall, essentially, and how each model is essentially handling how things are evolving. So we could see some showers and storms through about 1 or 2 in the morning for our eastern counties. So this is looking ahead by about 1:30. Hopefully we are all asleep by then, because that would be wonderful, right? If no storms, I really think any storms that do happen will likely be before 2 or 3 in the morning. So we shouldn't have to worry about staying up too late or them waking you up through the middle of the night, because this is tomorrow afternoon. Potentially we could be mostly clear, good amount of sunshine. And that could bring the chance of a few rounds of showers and storms that would help destabilize the atmosphere and bring us better storm ingredients for tomorrow evening. And even the timing for tomorrow night, it's been a doozy. I'm always big about being transparent, and I want you guys to know kind of what we're thinking, and what I've been thinking with my forecast, what I've seen so far. So just being fully transparent, the forecast has been complicated, to say the least, in regards to what's happening both today and tomorrow. But we are here to keep you safe, so we're going to do our best to power through, because we'll figure it out. We're going to be expecting, though, potentially we could see 1 to 2 rounds tomorrow. This one wants to paint this picture of a couple of storms moving in during near sunset tomorrow night, and then a second round arriving tomorrow evening into the overnight. So this first one looks like it would mostly impact areas south of the parkways, a lot of lightning, and then shows this weakening round moving through in the middle of the night, which we've had a few models trying to hint at that, to be perfectly honest, with the timing over the last couple of days, late Sunday into early Monday. It could impact some of your commute depending on what time you leave. Oops, I did not mean for that to go so fast. But we could see that impact some of your commute depending on what time you head outside. Do you think there will be some lingering showers maybe through tomorrow afternoon too? But okay, I just saw a question pop up. I'm going to get to your all's comments here in just a moment, but Nancy Spencer asks, is tomorrow an alert day? And the answer is yes, it is. But I don't want you to cancel your plans or be discouraged, because I really think the majority of tomorrow is going to be dry. So I really think it's not going to be a washout. But tomorrow night is when we'll want to pay close attention. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening is when things will start to evolve and kind of change, and we'll begin to get a better idea of how these storms are going to unfold. Okay, so let's take a look at another model. And this is going to, so far, so good for this one, if we're being totally honest. But this one has definitely overdone it quite a bit, as what we were expecting earlier today. it was overdoing it. But this is looks like a new model run that potentially just came in. And see, it tries to bring that Boeing line almost, and it kind of shrinks them, which is probably that's a very real potential with them weakening further to the east. And you'll see just kind of these clusters. This keeps them around through about 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm really hoping that they are out of our hair by then. But even so, they'll likely be below severe limits. So that would be good news there. And then tomorrow, we'll see some clearing taking place during the early afternoon. And then the clouds rush in a little bit faster. So this model only has one round moving through, and that would arrive late tomorrow night, mainly for areas north of the river too. I'm sorry, you guys haven't had the best weekend, right? And it really doesn't, it weakens as it gets here too. So bottom line, it's complicated forecast. So just make sure you're staying weather aware, especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow overnight. That's when we're going to be expecting some of the, that's our next round of potentially strong to severe storms. Okay. Oh, wow. So the Storm Prediction Center has actually, oh, that's good. For today, we still are all under essentially a marginal risk. That's the level 1, that's green. We did have a couple of our counties that some of those were Jackson and Jennings counties that you were under that slight risk, but that risk looks a little bit lower. That Storm Prediction Center update, that must have just come in a few moments ago and I didn't see it. With Twitter changing and everything, I have like a lot of notifications set up and I don't get as many of them because things have changed with all the rules and stuff. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to get everything set up. So if you haven't seen some of our tweets, like our automated ones, that's probably why we're getting it worked out. Okay, so I see some people say they're scared of storms. I know I actually used to be scared of storms too a little bit when I was younger. I don't really know when it changed that I wasn't necessarily afraid of them. I mean, I think it's perfectly normal to get a little bit of anxiety, but that is what we're here for, to make sure you know what's going to happen, or at least have an idea, and you can know how to prepare. So it's okay if you are a little nervous. I think that's perfectly normal. But the reason why I pulled this map up is because it shows how our severe weather risk evolves over the next couple of days. So we'll see tomorrow night, we're still all under a level 2 of 5, which is why we do have a alert day for tomorrow night. And the primary impacts, I've seen a couple of questions about this too, just glancing. Is there a tornado threat for tomorrow? What's our tornado potential? Tomorrow's really our primary risk tomorrow will be the wind. So I hope that puts some of your minds at ease. Don't get me wrong, wind can still be destructive like a tornado. But I think in everyone's mind, our brain jumps to tornado because it's the first thing we think of. But the winds can still be quite destructive, as what we saw we've seen that several times around now. Is tomorrow still an alert day with this out? Yes, it is an alert day for tomorrow so far, but it's going to be for tomorrow night. So I want to reiterate that tomorrow night will not be an all-day prolonged event. At least that's what I'm thinking so far. Then by Monday, as these storms are exiting, a couple of them, mainly for south and east of Louisville, that's where we'll have a couple of those isolated gustier storms trying to make their way out of here. But Monday, all in all, is going to be a windy day too. So here's a closer look at the SPC outlook for tomorrow. I just wanted to reiterate, all that yellow is just level 2. It's still pretty low in the risk. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Allergies have been, I know I always say that, but gosh, it's when I talk for a long time, I really start to feel it, which I know talking is for my job. But Whitney Plum says, does North Vernon seem to be seeing anything severe this evening? So you guys are under that tornado watch technically still for tonight until 1 a.m. unless that has changed. I don't think it has. I haven't seen any sort of notifications just yet. But the tornado watch, it is a very low risk for seeing a couple of rotating storms that could create an isolated spin-up tornado. So I don't want anyone to feel too panicked or worried. Again, that's for tonight. Tomorrow, the tornado threat, I think, is going to be a lot lower. It's going to be mostly wind. And here's the timing. And keep in mind this will probably change. A couple of isolated downpours will be possible depending on if we get 1 or 2 rounds. But I really think the primary risk is going to be near and after probably midnight tomorrow, when we'll start to see that broken line try to move through, or at least the cluster, however it's going to move through. That's where we probably have a better chance of seeing strong storms. Rebecca Hill says, do you think that the storm risks tomorrow night will be upgraded? I think it's a little too early to give you a for sure answer on that, like confidently. They haven't changed it much so far. And really, it doesn't, you don't want to just kind of hinge everything on the outlooks. We show those outlooks just to kind of help you categorize like what level of severity things are. So I can see where that's a good question to ask, but we've had technically tornado warnings even in just like a level 1 risk, that marginal green risk. So some wonky things can happen. Just saying. But that's the timeline of tomorrow's storms for the alert day. And then here's a better look at some of the impacts. And I hope this might maybe answer some of your questions. There we go. Sorry, I was pressing the wrong button. So tornado threat is very low. I really don't think we're going to be seeing a ton to be worried about on that end, but the wind again can still be destructive. We'll see some strong wind gusts tomorrow. Also some hail will be possible too. So here's my advice. If you have a garage, if you were lucky enough to have one, park your car in it tomorrow night. Make sure, like, if you have a pool or if you just have your lawn furniture outside, just make sure either the pool accessories are put away, make sure they're somewhere secure where they're not going to blow down the street and into 3 neighbors' backyards down the road. If that makes sense. And also just make sure that, patio furniture is kind of tucked down or nailed down, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then flooding, I don't think that's going to be a huge issue for us. It will depend on how much rain I think we get tonight. But I don't think we're going to get much tonight because this is going to kind of move in and out pretty quickly, I'm hoping. But I think that's very much the case. And I think the National Weather Service actually mentioned that a little bit too. All right. Because we love severe weather so much, we got to show you about, okay, that should not say Monday. I'm so sorry. That should actually, I forgot to change the date. That should be Thursday. There's little things sometimes I forget to change like that. Did it change? There we go. So Wednesday night, Thursday, we could see a few more strong storms, mainly to our west at this point. We'll be watching it. This is still a very, very early outlook, but this system's going to eventually move further to the east. None of our counties are under an outlook right now, but it's just something to look out for next week. Okay, I will show the 10-day and then get you some of your all's questions. Ashley Nicole, I know, right? If I had $1 every time I had to talk about severe weather, I would be talking about, I feel like the Powerball. I think it's the one that's either Mega Millions or Powerball. I can't remember which one's the big one, the billion. So right now, here's what we're thinking in terms of the forecast. I know there's so many kids heading back to school on Wednesday. It is not going to be a washout Wednesday. These will be afternoon and evening storms. Okay. The bus stop forecast Wednesday morning is actually looking really nice. It's looking a little cooler, quiet, not terribly hot or humid. But Thursday morning, we'll have to watch a little more closely because that's when we could see some showers and storms. Okay, so let's see. Any tornado warnings, Cody, Larkart? Not as of right now, at least not in our area. I'll double check, but I don't believe there were any in the vicinity, but I will double check. Nope, no warnings as of right now. So we're in good shape. At least I was checking for the Indianapolis area too. Will the 90s come back? Most likely. We're not out of state fair season just yet. So we can see the 90s. I mean, gosh, we still got a long ways to go before we're done with those. I feel like it has been like a cooler than average summer, but it's still going to be hot. Jonah Burton asks, will there be a chance for isolated tornadoes? Tonight, possibly. It's a very, very low risk. But a few storms could be rotating, and that's kind of how I've been trying to word it, some rotating storms that could trigger some tornado warnings. It will likely be some very brief rotation, if it is anything at all. Let's see. Sierra, is Madison, Indiana going to get hit tonight? I think in southern Indiana, you guys have the better chances of seeing some of the stronger storms, but since you're a little bit further to the east, I think you could see some storms, maybe a few on the strong side. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be awful and bad. It's not going to be widespread severe weather. So I don't want anyone to be too panicked or worried. Okay. Let's see. I've seen some people saying, I'm ready for fall weather. Isn't it crazy that we're already in August and back to school? I mean, fall will be here before we know it, but our fall around here is kind of wonky. I feel like we get like a couple of nice days and that's about it, like a handful. Maybe we'll see something better this year. But a couple of you guys say you're ready for fall. Let's see. So are the storms out near Evansville even moving east or southeast? So they're kind of bowing out. So they are moving in a general easterly direction. Some of them might be taking a more of a southeast motion, might be taking on more of a southeast motion, but they're generally moving to the east. And I really think a lot of these are going to weaken, especially near the Evansville, the ones that are near the Evansville area. Okie dokie. You guys are still commenting. I always appreciate it. Let's see. Watching from Scott County. Hello to you, Rebecca. Watching from Floyd County. Hello, Sherry. Whitney watching from North Vernon. And she put the crying like a unhappy emoji. I'm sorry. I really think just pay close attention to the forecast, and we should know here pretty soon with how things are going to evolve, because the sun's going down. The storms will be here, I would say, within the next hour or ish, maybe an hour, some change maybe. So if we have to cut in, we will. But I think it's a very low risk. But okay, I am rambling now. Let me see if there are any other questions that are sticking out. Sierra says, so I'll be able to sleep tonight. I haven't felt good and not wanting to have to stay up all night. I think you will be okay. Just depending on where you're also located, that will play a big part too. If you are closer to Louisville, or if you're even south of Louisville, that will be even better in terms of a lesser risk of severe weather, if that makes sense. That might have been a little confusing. I'm starting to lose my train of thought. Just make sure you have a way to wake up. If you are a heavy sleeper like me, just have a way to wake up if there are any alerts or warnings in your area. I do think these are probably going to be pretty loud, so the thunder might wake you up if these storms again can kind of get going and sustain themselves. All right. I do like this comment. Oh my gosh. She says, Ashley Nicole says, we've decorated for fall already and my son starts school Wednesday, but it's okay. He walks around mimicking a tornado siren all day. Oh my gosh. I bet that tortures you. Okay, Sierra, that does help that you're close to the bridge to Milton, Kentucky. I really think most people north of the river, the closer to you are to central Indiana, the better chance of storms you have. Again, this is a low risk. It's not even an alert day technically. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on tonight. Tomorrow, I think will probably be a better chance of a few strong storms. But okay, I am going to hop off here. It's a little after 9:30. It has been fun chatting with you guys. I hope I answered your questions as best as I could. We'll, of course, have an update for you coming up tonight at 11. We'll probably have some, if the storms are able to keep it together, and then we'll probably have some to talk about at the 11 o'clock show. So we will see you then. I hope everyone is safe. Stay safe. Again, we will be here and we will cut in as needed and provide you with as many updates as necessary too. So I hope everyone stays safe and try not to panic too much. Okay. And so I'll see you here tonight at 11 and then again tomorrow morning. And yeah, I'm rambling now. But okay, everyone, have a good night. Get some rest. And we'll see you here tonight at 11.